This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Holders. Jeff Cutastrophe, and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, January the 25th, in the year 1998, the Denver Broncos finally won a Super Bowl after 4 missteps. Kind of stupid, don't you think? But the Broncos had 4 chances to win the Super Bowl, and they failed every time. And now, because of this Super Bowl 32, January 25th, 1998, they finally did it. And one guy in particular finally got his title. So there are a few facts about the Super Bowl 32 win that happened. The game happened at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. The second time that the Super Bowl was held in that city. The last time was 10 years prior, in 1988, where the Broncos won this one 31-24. However, Super Bowl 32 made Qualcomm Stadium the only stadium in history to host the Super Bowl and the World Series in the same year. Because in 98, the San Diego Padres won the NL title, which meant they got to host a couple of World Series games against the New York Yankees, who in 1988 had one of the greatest seasons of all time because they won 114 games in the regular season and won the World Series. Anyway, Denver finally got the title. Denver was 12-4. Green Bay was 13-3. So these two teams were really huge. In fact, the Packers were double-digit favorites. The last time a double-digit team favorite lost the Super Bowl 4, when Kansas City kept matriculating the ball down the field against the Minnesota Vikings and all that. So it's time for a background and all that. The Green Bay Packers won Super Bowl 31 the previous year. They were the NFC Central Division champs at 13-3, second in the league in points scored and 4th in yards gained. Their defense, the 5th best. Not bad. Brett Favre had another great season and won the MVP for the 3rd time. So he was looking good and all that. Antonio Freeman and Robert Brooks were both great threats. Receiving-wise, tight end Mark Chimera did his job. Dorsey Levens was a decent running back for the team. On the defense, Reggie White, 11 sacks, the minister of defense. Santana Dotson doing pretty well himself. Leroy Butler, Eugene Robinson. Yes, that Eugene Robinson. Mike Pryor and Darren Sharper. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos of 97 did decently and all that. Unfortunately, Denver was known for chokery and all that. They lost in Super Bowls 12, 21, 22, and 24, or 70, 87, 88, 90, if you don't know what I'm talking about, respectively. They couldn't run the ball or score enough points for be competitive. They lost all 4 Super Bowls by a combined score of 163-50. That means Denver scored only 12.5 points a game in those 4 games, 113 points differential in 4 games. That's 28, about 28 points a game. Wow. Anyway, Denver did okay. They got to the 91 AFC title game, but lost to Buffalo, 91-92, to Buffalo 10-7. But when Mike Shanahan became head coach of the Broncos in 95, things were better. He was the offensive coordinator each time that the Super Bowl losses, but was fired because he had a power struggle between him and now deceased Dan Reeves over the offensive personnel. So Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for the Niners, especially in their Super Bowl 29 win and all that. Shanahan picked Terrell Davis, which I did a video on a while ago, in the 6th round. And Davis shocked everyone by being the running back that Denver was looking for and all that. Denver in 96, the 96-97 season, the season prior, had a good season. They were 13-3. They were number 1. They rested a lot of their starters in the final game. And then they took on the Jacksonville Jaguars, the second-year Jacksonville Jaguars, on home turf at Mile High, and shockingly lost 30-27. But that loss actually was good. That loss helped out, especially with the uniforms. if you remember Denver's uniforms back in the 80s and 90s, well, the early 90s, I should say, they were orange with the blue helmet and all that. However, Denver went to a new color scheme. They kept the orange and blue, but they made the blue jerseys their home jerseys. They not orange but blue. The Broncos had the best offense and led the league in total points scored, and were 12-4. Unfortunately, though, that wasn't good enough to win their division, as they were one back of the Kansas City Chiefs, who won 13 games in the AFC West. Anyway, Davis was a great runner. 1,750 yards, 15 touchdowns. John Elway, at 37 years old, was still kicking it. Shannon Sharp at tight end was good. Rod Smith, good wide receiver. And McCaffrey, great receiver. And the offensive line of Gary Zimmerman, Tom Nalen, and 3 other guys were good. Defense, they took Neil Smith away from the Chiefs, ironically enough, and he had a good season. Bill Romanowski and John Mobley were helping in the linebacker corps. And the backcourt of the backfield, defensive backfield of Tyrone Baxter and Steve Atwater. So anyway, the Green Bay Packers had a bye in the first round, of course, because they were one of the top 2 seeds. So they hosted Tampa and beat them 21-7, and then took down the Niners. Steve Young was still part of that team by a score of 23-10. Of course, the next year, Green Bay would face San Francisco, and San Fran would have revenge. But controversially, of course. Anyhow, the Broncos were in their wildcard team. They would take on Jacksonville, and this time they didn't fuck it. They won 42-17 over the Jaguars. They shocked the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City 14-10, and took down the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-21. I believe in Pittsburgh, if memory serves me right. So that was huge. So could Elway do it? Could Elway finally get his whale, if you will? The Packers were 11-point favorites. They were the defending champs, and they had a 13-3 regular season. So, I mean, after all, everything happened. So, anyway, the Broncos, as they were the designated home team in a rotation, got to wear their newly unveiled home Navy uniforms with the white pants and all that. The Packers would have to wear their customary white road uniforms with gold paint. NBC broadcast the game. As Dick Enberg, Phil Simms, and Paul McGuire were calling the action. This would be the last NBC broadcast for a while, because NBC lost the AFC rights to CBS, who basically were upset in 94 because CBS from 1956 to 1994 had the NFL/NFC games. Lost that package to the Fox, and then CBS swiped the AFC from NBC. NBC would have to wait 4 years before in 4 years it would be they would have, yeah. Oh no, sorry, 2006. So NBC had went back to football in 2006. So anyway. Yeah. So NBC did their job and all that. And this would the Super Bowl 32 would be the last Super Bowl till 2007 for CTV in Canada. The CTV actually aired the NFL since 1970 and the Super Bowl since 82. I think that's wrong though, because I think Global had football in 94, but they also did the Super Bowl. Yeah, I remember Global had. Yeah, that's a mistake, because Global had a lot of games. I watched a lot of Buffalo Bill games on Global in Canada. That's a mistake, because I remember watching a lot of that stuff. Regardless, well, Jewel sang the U.S. national anthem. And the halftime show was a tribute to Motown's 40th anniversary. So anyway, the game started with, well, the first scoring play was a touchdown pass from Brett Favre to Antonio Freeman for Green Bay. Ryan Lawwell tied the game with the extra point. Denver would get Terrell Davis a 1-yard touchdown run with Jason Elam kicking it at 7-7. However, things would look bad for Terrell Davis as he suffers from migraines, and a migraine headache really got to him and all that, and he took some time off. But before that, he actually was a decoy for a John Elway touchdown run in the second quarter. After Elam kicked a field goal, Green Bay got another touchdown from Favre to Chimera. Longwell tied the game at 17. And that was the last time. Well, in the third quarter, Terrell Davis ran for a touchdown to make it 24-17. The Packers came back to tie on an Antonio Freeman touchdown reception from Favre, so it's 24-24. And then came one of the most famous plays in Super Bowl history, the helicopter spin. John Elway was running the ball down the field for some reason, and then he got hit and he helicopter spinned his feet forward. It got the first down. That's Terrell Davis's touchdown run, which Green Bay allowed to happen. They decided to lay down and let Terrell score for minute 45 because they knew that they needed time to score the tying touchdown, but that didn't happen, and it was huge. And all that. The Packers were basically out of it. And all that. So anyway, the Packers couldn't score the tying touchdown, game over, and the Broncos finally won the Super Bowl. Amazing and all that. Joe Davis became the first player to get 3 rushing touchdowns in one game. And this was huge for the Broncos. It made the Broncos seem like legit contenders. It's strange how a uniform change can do that for you. And John Elway's willingness. And let's not forget Denver owner Pat Bowlen saying after the game, "This one's for John." And Elway did it. He won the Super Bowl. Strangely enough, Elway would actually win the Super Bowl the next year with the Broncos. The Broncos had a better path, in a sense, and beat Atlanta easily. As for Green Bay, they slinked back into partial oblivion. They were still good, but getting to a Super Bowl was harder and all that. They didn't get back to the Super Bowl until 2011, which was kind of awkward in a city that calls themselves Title Town. So the Broncos won the Super Bowl the next year. Elway retired, and Denver slipped into the abyss, in a sense. Green Bay would not be the same for a while, and Eugene Robinson would be back in the Super Bowl, playing for the NFC champion, which was the Atlanta Falcons, which I talked about earlier this year in that famous Gary Anderson missed game. But of course, as I said, Eugene Robinson got himself into trouble with the law for soliciting from an undercover officer and ruined his career. Anyway, Elway got it. This one's for you, John. This video's for you, John. Anyway, I'm Jan25. I do.